So this person is so heinous. You might have heard of him before, but... And the pillar of communityness, I think, is hilarious. So obviously we'll get to it. Marcel André Henri Félix Petiot was born on January 17th, 1897. He was a Capricorn.
Are you French? Covering the person that you texted about the other day?
No.
Oh, okay. I just almost had a meltdown.
Who did I text the other day?
Out of nowhere, apropos of nothing, the other day, Lucy texted our friend Chat about Marcel Marceau.
Oh, yeah.
The mime.
So that's why I ignored that.
This is a little bit related, but no, that text was my Britannica fact of the day.
Got it. Okay, well, now you started this case and talking about how awful and notoriously awful this Marcel was. And I was like, wow, people contain multitudes.
No, Marcel the mime saved like dozens of children from the Gestapo during World War II.
Okay, so not
because of his acting skills. He pretended to be a German soldier to like shepherd these children to safety.
And no one can recognize his voice.
Because he's a fucking mime. Holy shit. Holy shit.
Okay. All right. Just covering our bases.
Different guy.
Different Marcel. Okay.
When you said that, I was like, did I? My short-term memory has been like quarantine level lacking lately.
Yeah.
Losing it. Wow.
Okay. So this guy, a Capricorn, he was born in Auxerre, which looks like Auxerre, and I thought, pass me the ox. Pass me the oaks. The os. A-U-X.
Okay. Yeah, totally get that reference. I definitely know what you're talking about.
Pass me the ox.
The ox cord.
The ox cord in the car.
Okay.
Pass me the os.
I was thinking of ox, like the animal.
Oh.
We need to all get our heads right. We need to get our heads in the game.
We're doing really well today.
Have a big old swig of that mead.
I am working on it. It's quite delicious.
Okay, so in an area called Yonne in north central France, which is a mere 578 miles from Peniston. It's a 10-hour drive. It's so bizarre to like think of driving to Peniston.
That's like the drive to your cabin.
Yeah, it's way close.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah. His parents were Félix and Marthe.
Mart.
I like Marthe.
It's
short
Marthe
for
now.
Martha. Marthe.
It's Marthe.
And he also had a brother named Maurice. He was reportedly unusually...
Maurice, the baguettes! Hurry up!
I need 6 eggs! That is where he was born.
I am the I need 6 eggs lady.
Every parent on the planet at one point becomes the I need 6 eggs woman from fucking Beauty and the Beast. Without fail.
She has children just clinging to her.
Yes.
Ick. Okay, so he was unusually intelligent as a child. However, according to later reports, which may or may not have been invented or exaggerated for like public consumption, he exhibited several severe behavioral problems from a very early age. So, for example, at age 11, he fired his father's gun in his classroom and also propositioned a female classmate for sex.
Oh.
11.
Cool.
He was expelled from school several times, like several different schools, and was clinically diagnosed as, quote, mentally ill in 1914 at the age of 17 after being arrested for mail theft.
Not the worst time to be clinically diagnosed as mentally ill in France. If I had to pick a time to do it.
Well, it didn't work out that well because he still went into the military.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I take it all back.
Because the military-industrial complex loves the mentally ill.
Well, yeah, they needed all the people they could get.
He actually volunteered for it, but we'll get there very soon. He finally finished his education at a special academy in 1915, so he still like got his high school diploma on time, but after a lot of obstacles. In 1917, some sources say he was drafted, other sources say he volunteered. Whatever, he went into the French army during World War I, but was almost immediately wounded and gassed during the Second Battle of the Aisne?
I think it's N. I think it's N.
It's too many letters for that to be pronounced N, but I'll take it.
I could be
I
wrong.
have no horse in this race. No dog in this fight.
Second battle of that battle, after which he exhibited symptoms of an actual mentee bee. He was sent to recover in a rest home, but was then arrested for stealing army blankets,
And
morphine.
a rest home.
Arrest.
Ended up being in a rest home for stealing army blankets, morphine, people's wallets, people's photographs, and like letters from their loved ones.
Cool guy.
He's just a klepto, and it gets so much worse. Among other things, he was sent to jail in Orléans, found not guilty by reason of insanity, and then was sent to a psychiatric hospital where he was again diagnosed with just various mental illnesses.
Okay.
So again, the army loves the vulnerable. So
One they can get.
he was again sent back to the front lines in June of 1918, where 3 weeks later he literally shot himself in the foot and was able to get out of the war on disability pension. Although at that point, several of his previous examiners had recommended that he be institutionalized. They were like, no, you guys, he's not fit to be
Let's
living
not
out in
let
public.
This guy
Right.
around all the weapons.
Or just like society in general.
Right.
Like, he needs treatment.
Yeah.
So he didn't get that. Petiot enrolled in an accelerated educational program intended for war veterans and completed medical school in 8 months.
Cool. Over fucking achiever. Got it.
No, it's just like way accelerated because they just needed like,
He went to Trump Medical School online.
because like all the regular young citizens, like most of them were fighting, so they needed the ones who couldn't fight to be home, like filling those vacancies for like doctors, etc.
And women couldn't do it. We might as well get this guy.
Exactly. So they fast-tracked him to being a doctor. He then interned at a mental hospital in Kenyon's hometown of Normandy.
Hey guys, this is so ironic because like I should be you,
This is crazy, right?
and now I'm treating you.
Weird, right?
Crazy.
Isn't it funny how stuff like just
Someday
works
you
out?
too could be me.
I was you. I
Yeah.
was you just like 6
Here,
months ago
Put on this straight jacket. Let me shock
Let
you.
me cut you open.
before I shot myself
Let me
in the
shock
foot.
ya.
Let me just apply these electrodes to your brain.
Cool.
Hey,
Loving it.
this is funny because
How? And you don't have a wallet that I could steal because we confiscated it off you.
hey, where's your purse?
Hey. Hey, you. Come over here. Let me shock you.
What's
Where's
your
your
locker
purse?
combo?
What's your locker combo?
Look at this pretty little thing in this photograph that I
Look at
just
this
took from under your
asshole.
pillow.
I'm
You
just joking.
recognize
I'll
her?
put it
No,
back.
of course you don't. I fried your brain.
Oh, you do recognize her.
It's like a Rorschach test. Sister wife?
Whoops.
Oh my god, sorry, that got really dark.
Whatever. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Okay, so he received his medical degree in December 1921 and returned to the area of his hometown to join a medical practice there. By this point, Petiot had begun using addictive narcotics, but that didn't keep him from, and in fact may have helped him in becoming a very popular local physician.
Oh, God.
He was very charming. Like I said, he's super smart, and people like loved him. At least at first, and most of the people continued to love him. We'll get to it. And this was again in spite of, or perhaps because of, his willingness to skirt some of the rules by doing such thing as supplying narcotics to patients. Just a little, hey, you want a little something extra?
Yeah, let me write you this script, and I'm just going to take 10 off the top.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. Most people would be like, hey, he's a cool guy. He also would perform illegal abortions. So, not so bad.
Let's hope he did them right after 8 months of study.
Yeah,
My
right?
God.
I'm having a really hard time, like, getting my hands around this guy.
He's all over the place.
Yeah.
He'll fit into more of a niche in a little while, but not before he goes way weird. Okay. So he was also committing fraud at this time by secretly applying for state medical assistance for many of his patients, like on behalf of his patients, while also receiving cash from them, like a regular patient.
Oh, okay.
So he would receive payment from both the patient and the state every time he treated them.
Like a little Medicare fraud or whatever.
Just a light,
Yeah.
Medicare fraud.
Yeah, well, yeah. He was also back on his bullshit with the petty thievery. He also, like, assaulted a police officer somewhere in here. Just stuff like that. In 1926, he began an affair with the daughter of one of his patients. Her name was Louise Delaveau. Beautiful. Not long after they began their relationship, Louise disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Some neighbors reported seeing him load a large trunk into the back of his car.
Uh-oh.
They reported this to the police, but the police eventually dismissed Louise as a runaway. And I found one source that mentioned that a similar looking trunk was pulled from the river several months later and contained like parts of an unidentified woman.
Oh.
But the police were like, oh, it's just a coincidence. It really wasn't him. She's a runaway. We don't know who this lady in the trunk is. Whatever.
The lady in the trunk.
Because they just liked him? Because he was the doctor?
Because they just didn't have any evidence and they probably had bigger fish to fry at the time. It was Willy Walleye days.
Yeah.
Had a lot to set up.
That will do it.
That same year, Petiot decided to run for mayor because he was so well liked in the town.
God bless. Are we sure this isn't just Petiot's delusion from when
Seriously.
he was admitted to a mental facility at
Anti-bees.
14?
The whole thing is the occurrence at Owl Bridge.
Incredible.
During the campaign, he hired someone to disrupt his opponent's speech to like fluster him and make him fuck up his speech. And I assume there were plenty of other shenanigans going on. So he ended up winning the election and became the mayor of Villeneuve-sur-Yonne in 1926. In 1927, he married a woman named Georgette Lablay, the 23-year-old daughter of a wealthy landowner, and together they had a son named Gerhardt in April of 1928.
An interesting choice of name. Okay.
Gerhardt. Yeah, it's probably quite German sounding.
Right.
Yeah. Seemingly, the first thing he did as mayor was to begin embezzling the town's taxpayer money. One source said he embezzled all of the town's money.
Oh, nice.
Did he have a lot of horses that he needed to buy, in fairness?
God, I forgot about
He had a
her.
lot of quarter horses.
He had a quarter of a horse. He had enough quarters of a horse to get
He had a
one
lot of
full
horses
horse.
that he needed to keep quartered.
Yeah.
Yuck. There were also rumors that he was even stealing cans of oil from the railroad depot. So, like, again, he's a klepto,
Yeah.
but he's also embezzling these huge amounts of money and potentially murdering people.
Not great.
Okay.
His thievery and dubious financial dealings finally caught up with him, and in 1930, he was convicted of fraud and suspended for 4 months of his being mayor before...
That's it.
Yeah, before like resigning completely in 1931, again in the face of criminal accusations. But he was the mayor of this town for like 4 years.
Wow.
Cool. But again, he was still super well liked in this town. Everyone thought he was the fun, cool guy. And
Cool uncle.
So after he was kind of forced to resign, the entire village council also resigned in sympathy.
Oh my God.
I will never have that loyal a following.
No.
So then just 5 weeks later, on October 18th, 1931, he was elected as a village councilor. At the time, he was the youngest man to ever sit in that office. And then in early 1932, he was accused of stealing electricity from the village and lost his council seat. But by that time, he had already relocated to Paris.
So yeah, he's
Cool.
just a klepto. He just needs to be stealing.
Yeah.
Even if
He
it's
doesn't-
electricity.
Or like a handwritten letter that has nothing to do with him, or
right.
money, or
Sure.
Army
canned
blankets.
goods, or oil. Yeah.
Yeah. By 1933, he had settled in Paris and was growing his very successful medical practice with phony credentials. He again had quickly developed a great reputation around town. However,
Sorry.
what?
Speaking of Paris and doctors,
Oh, God.
I forgot to tell you guys this. When we went to Paris on our recent vacation, for the listeners, the first full day we were there, we thought Sonia might have an ear infection, but really, I think her ears just hadn't
We're still
popped.
popping from the
yeah,
flight.
after the
Did
plane.
you give her bubble gum?
Bubba.
She's a baby, so no. But we called around and found
Just shoving bubble gum in her mouth.
Chew
That'll
it for
do it.
her like a mother bird.
she didn't have an ear infection, but she did
The
choke to death.
chewing is what elite. Okay, no, we're fine.
So, no, so we're calling around to different pediatricians' offices, whatever. We ended up not having to bring her because then, like, her ears popped and she was fine. But the pediatrician that I found and made the appointment with was Dr. Jabby.
Yes.
Ooh, that's not a
Jabby
good
walkie.
name for a jabby.
J-A-B-Y.
He's gonna jab ya.
Ooh, that's not
I know.
great.
Yeah. Anyway, long.
Dr. Jabby will indeed jab ya.
That's like Dr. Worms, Scott's orthodontist.
I had him too for a while. He was so old.
Yeah, he's dead now. My orthodontist is dead now, too. Anyway, moving on.
R.I.P.
Dr. Newhouse.
He
Okay.
is in a new house now.
He's in a
6
new
feet
fucking
under the
house.
ground.
It's a small house.
Little house just for himself.
Okay, so he had a great reputation in Paris. However, rumors persisted that he was again prescribing drugs to addicts and also, again, that he was performing illegal abortions. Plus, he could not keep his kleptomania under control. But that did not stop him from being appointed to Médecin d'État Civil in 1936, giving him the authority to write death certificates.
Cool.
So he's doing all this shit. People know about it, but he's still so well liked, like face to face and in the community that people are just like,
And he has no shame about lying, so he can
Right.
immediately, like, set up a practice because people are like, look at this guy's credentials.
yeah, that are completely fabricated.
Right.
That same year, he was institutionalized briefly for his kleptomania, but was released after a few months again, despite his doctor's doubts as to his sanity. It's the same fucking thing over and over.
Wow.
In the
Gotta let
following,
me out. I have lots of patients to treat.
They need me.
hey doctor, isn't that fun? I'm you, but like
Hey.
for narcotics.
Right?
Yeah. So wait, so how does this work? You just give me all the pills I give you on this list, or because that's how I do it with my patients.
Yeah.
You gonna give them to me, or do I have to steal them? Okay. In the following years, he repeatedly committed tax fraud and was once again charged and fined for his crimes. By the time Germany invaded France in 1939, he had a pretty hefty criminal record and a quite extensive list of psychiatric diagnoses.
You don't say.
So, start of World War II, here we go. As it turned out, Nazi-occupied France provided the perfect backdrop for Petiot to continue carrying out his more heinous predilections. He positioned himself as a member of the resistance, probably to garner public trust, but it's unclear how committed to the cause he really was. And by unclear, I mean he was not committed to the cause whatsoever.
No.
He's completely
Nope.
self-serving.
Yep.
He claimed later that that he developed secret weapons that killed Germans without leaving forensic evidence. He planted booby traps all over Paris.
I'm sure.
He had
You just couldn't see them, but they were there, okay?
yeah, there was no
did it.
evidence. That's why you don't know about it.
You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't get it. You could never.
You could fucking never.
He had high-level meetings with Allied commanders, and he worked with a non-existent group of Spanish anti-fascists.
Nobody expects the Spanish anti-fascists.
So there is no evidence for any of these statements. After the 1940 German defeat of France, French citizens were drafted for forced labor in Germany. And Petiot actually did provide false medical disability certificates to the people who were drafted. I'm sure
Probably for a fee.
For a fee. He also treated the illnesses of workers who had returned. Keep that in mind. In July 1942, he was convicted of overprescribing narcotics, even though two of the addicts who were planning on testifying against him had mysteriously disappeared.
People
So that was
inconvenient
dropped.
to him don't last long.
They really don't, especially if they are addicted to the narcotics that he's prescribing.
They're getting too high off of his supply.
He soon took on the alias Dr. Eugène and began inviting Jews to his medical practice, people who were trying to escape the country.
Oh my God. Oh no.
What a fucking piece of shit.
His practice, I'm only mentioning this because it's like a famous site, is located at 66 Rue Caumartin. And he invited them there, promising them safe passage out of France. He claimed that his extensive network, which was called Fly Talks, worked in conjunction with Argentinian authorities to safely transport people to South America without the knowledge of the German invaders.
Which did, like, things like that did exist.
Sure.
He just wasn't actually connected
No.
to them.
Not at all. So he also offered his home as a safe house for resistance fighters, petty thieves, and hardened criminals trying to outrun the law. But it was primarily Jews trying to escape the country. What actually happened was totally horrific. So under the guise of inoculating them against various diseases as demanded by the Argentinian government, so you need these vaccines to travel to this country.
Yeah, line up and get your jabs.
Yeah.
Dr.
So
Jabby.
Petiot injected them with cyanide. He watched them die. He stole all their possessions and their money and then disposed of their bodies either in quicklime, or he buried them, or he dumped them in the Seine, or he burned them in a basement furnace in his specially designed soundproof home.
Good
Cool.
God.
So he started, I think originally he was dumping them in the river, but as the Gestapo was had more and more of a presence in like his neighborhood,
Yeah,
he
he
had
didn't
to
wanna-
figure out ways to dispose of the bodies on his own property.
So the quick lime and the burying.
And also his residence was super close to the Arc de Triomphe. So it's like right in the middle of Paris.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I also just want to flag for a second that, like, this is horrific.
Yep.
And if you think this is horrific, you should know that this shit is still happening today
Correct.
in just maybe slightly different forms. But, like, this is, like, these are some of the risks that, like, migrants today face
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
just trying to get to safety and to a better life.
I'm sure more instances of this kind of shit will continue to come out.
Not to, like, draw connections to the Holocaust, whatever. Like, obviously there are differences. I'm not.
Well, right.
Yeah, but
like,
if-
there are similarities.
There are similarities.
There are a lot of similarities.
He was using
Absolutely.
fear and like human migration out of necessity to
Yeah, and if-
do whatever the fuck he
Desperation.
wanted to do.
And if we don't draw those connections
exploitation.
where those similarities exist, then we're doomed to just continue to
Right.
repeat it.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I sure hope you liked that clip. If you did like that clip, make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel, leaving us a nice review, and joining us on Patreon for even more video content, audio content, salacious content all around. Come join us. Treat yourself.